I did it for my husband, but I regret it very much now. We wanted a child, but we couldn't have one. If he ever learns the truth, he will be very angry with me, but I am not sorry. Hello everyone. I would like to share something that happened to me. To keep it short, let me introduce myself. My name is Kate. I live in Konya. I am 27 years old, and I have been married for about 2 years. I work in the Human Resources Department of a private company. I am 1.75 meters tall, blonde, well-groomed, and considered attractive by the people around me. My husband is 29 years old, handsome, and works in tourism. What happened to me took place about 3 months ago. After dating for 3 years, we got married because we truly loved each other. Everything was wonderful, and we had a happy marriage. However, we had one problem: we could not have children. We visited doctors and underwent various tests, but they said the problem was with my husband. I always took the blame upon myself and never wanted to tell him the truth because he was a man, and problems like this often affected men very deeply. So I told him that the issue was with me and that I might be able to have a child after taking certain medications in the future. We had married for love, and I truly did not want my marriage to end. However, I also knew that having a child would be very difficult for us. I started thinking about whether we should adopt from an orphanage, but in the end, that would not really change the situation. All of my friends shared the same opinion. One day, while thinking about all this again, the idea of having a child with another man crossed my mind since the problem was not with me. Even though I kept asking myself, what am I thinking? I felt that I had to do something because our marriage was getting worse with each passing day. I needed to do something to save it. But was this really the last solution? I kept wondering, because it would mean betraying my husband and also having a child as a result. After thinking about it for a long time, I finally shared the idea with my closest friend, Megan. Megan and I had been friends since childhood. When I told her about it, she was shocked at first and asked what on earth I was thinking. But when she saw how desperate I was, she admitted that perhaps I was not entirely wrong. After hearing her opinion, the idea started to make even more sense to me. Now I had to think about who that person could be. I considered every man around me, but it had to be someone I had known for a long time, someone trustworthy and single. After all, we would have to keep this a secret for the rest of our lives. About a week later, I thought of Jack, the son of an acquaintance of ours named Julia. Jack was 19 years old, and we had known him for about 13 years. We were very close, though only in a brother-sister kind of way. I started wondering how I could explain this to Jack. A few days later, after gathering my courage, I visited Julia's house after work. Jack was home at the time. After chatting casually for a while, I stepped out onto the balcony and asked Jack to join me. The weather was beautiful, and we sat down together. I knew I had to tell him before Julia came out because we had only stepped onto the balcony for a moment. I looked into Jack's eyes and swallowed nervously. After a few seconds, he asked, "Is something wrong, Kate?" "No, not really," I replied, "but I want to share something with you." "Of course," he said. "I'm listening." I was becoming more and more embarrassed because he still spoke to me like an older sister. I told him there was no need to call me that, and then I slowly introduced the subject. As I explained everything, my nervousness grew. After briefly describing the situation, I finally said, "I want that person to be you, Jack." He was completely shocked. He simply stared at me for a long time. I repeated myself and asked again, "Yes, Jack. Would you want to be that person?" Jack was very embarrassed. Not wanting to make him even more uncomfortable, I told him that he didn't have to answer immediately and that he could send me a message whenever he was ready. Then I said goodbye to Julia and left. I was embarrassed and excited myself. Jack's shocked expression stayed in my mind the entire night, and I could not sleep at all. The next day, Jack sent me a message asking, "Were you really serious yesterday?" I replied that this was not something to joke about. Then he wrote, "In that case, yes, I accept your proposal, Kate." Part of me felt guilty, while another part felt relieved to have gotten what I wanted. I told him that we had an agreement and that this would remain a secret forever. Jack agreed immediately. When he asked when it would happen, I told him that I would arrange the right time and let him know. The following Friday, I told my husband that I would be spending the evening at home with some girlfriends, just like old times, and asked him to give us the house for one night. After he agreed, I asked Jack whether Friday worked for him. He said yes, and we made our plans. There were still 6 days until Friday, but I was already becoming increasingly nervous. Jack had also overcome his embarrassment and had started sending messages constantly. I could tell he was growing impatient. To be honest, I was also becoming more and more emotionally invested in the situation. Throughout that week, I made sure everything was normal between my husband and me because he absolutely could not suspect anything. Time passed, and Friday finally arrived. I left work a little early, went to the hairdresser, did some shopping, and arrived home around 6 in the evening. Shortly afterward, Jack sent me a message asking when he should come. I told him around 9 o'clock. I was becoming more nervous by the minute. Since there wasn't much time left, I went to my room and started getting ready. I put on the new clothes I had bought, wore a black sleeveless dress, and applied a little makeup. I wanted to look my best for Jack. After getting ready, I prepared the table for a nice dinner. It was already past 8:30, and Jack would arrive soon. I could barely control my excitement. Before long, the doorbell rang. When I opened the door, Jack was standing there. It felt as though we were meeting for the first time because he was dressed very elegantly and looked extremely handsome. After inviting him inside, I took the bag he was carrying and brought it to the kitchen. I told him to make himself comfortable in the living room. He had brought white wine and some snacks. I opened the wine and poured it into our glasses. Jack could hardly take his eyes off me and kept telling me how beautiful I looked. The compliments, combined with thoughts of what lay ahead, made me even more nervous. Soon afterward, I invited him to the table, and we started eating. We talked while having dinner. Once our casual conversation ended, Jack and I looked into each other's eyes for a few seconds. After that, what was meant to happen happened. I thanked Jack many times and then sent him home. Later, I picked up my phone and sent my husband a message telling him how much I loved him. My husband had noticed a change in me and kept saying that our relationship had never been better. 2 months passed. When I finally bought a pregnancy test and took it, I was overjoyed because I was pregnant. After 2 years, I had finally achieved what I had wanted for so long. I first sent Jack a message to share the good news. Then I messaged my husband and told him as well. When my husband came home, he was absolutely thrilled. Throughout the entire pregnancy, he supported me in every way possible. I am currently 7 months pregnant, and my due date is only 2 months away. We are expecting a baby boy. My husband and I have decided to name our son Jack. I love my husband very much. I am so grateful to have him in my life.